Hi there, John. You thought that I was going to miss the second video this month, but I made it. I had to quickly rush this one out, but that's fine. I'm in my garden because it's an unusually sunny day here in Wales, and I thought for this video, because I kind of slacked and didn't plan anything, I'd bring something that I'm doing in real life and make content out of it. Yay! That's kind of like the most YouTube thing ever to do. So, little explaining before we get into the main content of the video. Episode 9 is coming out, Star Wars Episode 9, obviously. I'm very excited for it, obviously. And in preparation, what I'm trying to do is get through all the canonical extended universe stuff. I'm trying to get through it all, basically. I'm trying to get through everything that Disney has deemed canon, all of it, till December when the movie comes out, so I can watch Episode 9 and being like, ah yes, I have seen everything. I know everything that leads up to this movie. Will I do it? Probably not, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Obviously, I've watched and read and seen and played a lot of the stuff that already before I even started this mission, and I've been doing this for about a month now, so I thought that it would be fun to kind of make content out of this, to kind of keep you up to date with where I am, and also to review everything that I read and watch and see in the Star Wars kind of world. The latest book that I read / listened to, because this one was an audiobook, was Last Shot. So that's a Star Wars novel, Last Shot. It is about Lando and Han Solo. And honestly, it's kind of split between the two. They marked it as a bit more of a Han Solo story because obviously it came out around the time of Solo, so they were kind of banking on that. But it is really nicely split between the two of them. The story is really about the both of them. The time spent is with the both of them equally, in my opinion. So let's get into this book. So Last Shot is a book. It's written by Daniel Older, I believe, and it takes place in 3 different time periods primarily. It's when Lando was really young and had the Millennium Falcon. Then it's just after Solo, when Han Solo has the Millennium Falcon. And then it takes place, the third time period, which is the main bulk of the story, I feel, is Han Solo and Lando on a mission together after Episode 6 and after the series of books Aftermath. If you know those, they're like this big trilogy that happened just after Episode 6. So it's when Ben Solo is born, basically, and Han and Lando have to go out on this mission. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Let's get into what I felt of the book. First of all, the characterization of Han and Lando was really good. I really enjoyed that, how they took those characters from screen and kind of extended their relationship out. The dynamic between the two was really, really good, considering you have very little of that dynamic in the movies to go from. You know, it's obviously iconic, that friendship, but you kind of have to make a lot of stuff up, and you kind of have to add to it when you do a whole book full. And I think that Daniel Older did a really good job at this. Even individually as characters, you know, not, you know, in a relationship, well, not that kind of relationship, but not, you know, outside of their relationship, their friendship. My rabbit just did a big jump. I think that their characterization is really good. They're really interesting. They give Lando a lot of stuff to deal with that you don't get to see him deal with in the movies because he's in them so little. You kind of get more of a character as opposed to this, like, you know, archetype. You know, the friend that turns against the good guys and then it ultimately redeems himself. He kind of explains why he had to do that, and also you kind of get a sense of more of who he is, what his insecurities are. Honestly, this book did a lot for Lando because I read Aftermath. I really love Aftermath. I think it's a great trilogy, and there's a lot of Han Solo stuff in that. So if you're a fan of Han Solo and you feel like there's not enough of him in the movies, Aftermath is a great place to get more stuff. And in this book, you get more Han Solo stuff, but you get way more Lando stuff, and it was really nice to see all that Lando stuff. You know, again, equal amounts of Lando and Han, but I'm just saying I valued the Lando stuff way more. My issue with the book is the fact that it takes place in 3 time periods doesn't feel like it needed to happen. It's a cool thing to see Lando when he's younger, and to see him hang out with L3. It's a cool thing to see Han Solo after the events of Solo and where his head was at after that movie. But it really kind of comes across as messy to me. I adored the story that was going on in the future with Han and Lando teaming up and a bunch of other characters that I don't want to spoil. I really liked that story. I didn't feel like it needed the context that the other 2 stories were providing. Yes, they do tie into the main plot. Yes, the villain is omnipresent through all of it. But it just felt like either A, filler, you know, that could have been put into that future story, all the relevant information could have been peppered in, or B, and I don't want to assume, but I feel like they wanted it to tie more in with Solo. The book came out in conjunction with the movie Solo, and if you just got to see Solo and you pick up a book that's got Han Solo and Lando on the front, and all of a sudden they're really old, well, not really old, but they're like, you know, way older than they are in the movie, and they're not really acting the way they did in Solo, where they were young and brash. They're more, you know, mature and war-scarred. You're not really gonna, you know, put those two things together. But if you add in the flashbacks of young Lando and young Han, it kind of works better with the movie. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it really does feel that way when you read the book, that they're really trying to be like, hey, remember Lando and Solo in the movie Solo? They're here too. I liked Solo. I really liked Solo. I think Solo was a really good movie. Didn't need to be in this book. I know for a fact there is another tie-in book with Solo, and it's got Han and I think it's Kira. That feels like, you know, that should have been the tie-in book, and this should have just been left as like a semi-sequel to Aftermath. Ultimately, the villain was a really interesting premise, something I've never seen in a Star Wars villain. This villain felt like he had his own motivations, he had this really warped philosophy. There was a big flaw in his thinking, which I really liked. It was like, you know, he was so devoted to this thing, but the flaw was so big that anyone who wasn't insane could see it. And I thought that was a really interesting, you know, villain kind of quirk. And I think that the story, again, in the future, the main bulk of the story was really good and really well told. I just think its downfall are these flashbacks. Now, as a fan, did I enjoy flashing back and seeing little things like where characters were while stuff was happening? Yes, of course. This is why I'm doing this whole thing with all the Star Wars material. But as a book, I think it could have been shorter. It could have been condensed. So I think, out of 5, I think I'm going to give this book... I'm going to give it a straight down the middle medium, a 3. It was good, it made me happy, I enjoyed it a lot, but ultimately it was hard to get through because of those flashbacks. It was hard to keep going to and worrying, oh no, is this really exciting story going to be interrupted? Yes, it's interrupted, and now I'm listening to Han as a young man philandering around. So yeah, that's what I felt of Last Shot. Hopefully I can get some videos up going back and, you know, reviewing things I've already read and seen and stuff of Star Wars. But going forward, every time I experience a new piece of Star Wars Extended Universe canon, hopefully I'll make a little video on it and it'll be fun. God, I bet this was so long, way longer than I wanted it to be. I can't do anything about it. There it is.